Everyone says that they want to be authentic. They say that they're real, or they're trying to be real, but oftentimes we just kind of push it to the wayside, and we are inauthentic and fake in subtle ways that we don't realize. It's the way we talk to someone and we give a nervous laugh, or the way we cover up the truth of how we really feel when we're first meeting a stranger. And yeah, some of it has to do with empathy. You don't want to be completely radically honest all the time. But when the stranger asks you, do you enjoy where you work? And you give that answer where you're like, yeah, it's great. I mean, there's this reason and this reason and this reason. I have friends there, and yeah, it's a good place to work. You can hear it in the inflection when your voice goes up 2 octaves and you can't make eye contact with the person you're talking to. Here's the thing is that political incorrectness and inauthenticity, it's more than just something that you shouldn't do. It's more than that. It's pernicious. It fucking kills people. People don't realize that, but the number 1 cause of death in American society today is inauthenticity. Let me tell you a story. There was once this man that I knew who he did well in his job. People loved him. He was influential in his community. He won Teacher of the Year the second year he was teaching. He used to be an attorney. He switched his career to teaching, and he was there for about 10 years. But then after 10 years, he was struggling. And he was mostly struggling with the pressure to live up to other people's expectations. He was afraid to leave, even though he was unhappy. He had paid his dues when he was teaching, and he was just tired of it. But he was afraid to leave that job. He was afraid of what other people would think of him if he were to pursue something other than teaching. He was afraid of people asking why. During his last year teaching, his life began to spiral out of control. He had a hard time with his marriage, ended up leaving the house, and lived in an apartment by himself. And you could sense that there was internal turmoil in his life. He was feeling guilty for the affair. He was feeling trapped by his profession. And he just felt helpless. He began seeing a therapist, and after about 10 months of taking prescription drugs and turning to alcohol and having his ups and downs, he finally realized that he needed to change. He was ready to leave his job. So he prepared all of his lesson plans. He called up a substitute teacher to take his place, and he was scheduled to enter rehab on October 24th, 2013. On October 23rd, in the morning, I received a text message, and it was from my mother, and she told me to call her. I was in Salt Lake City at the time. I was working at the mayor's office, doing an internship, and I called my mother. And I will never forget what she said. She said, "Marcus, Sean took his own life." Sean was my stepfather. I'd met him when I was 5 years old, and we took trips together. We lived together, we grew up together. He raised me. And now he was gone. I remember sitting on the stairs at the mayor's office. Every single moment that I had with Sean was passing right before my eyes. The colors of the world began to swirl, and I was just stunned. And suddenly all of my prior worries and dilemmas in my life faded away. Because what I realized is that I would never spend another moment with him. It was final. That was it. And that's what happens when you're inauthentic. When you're not true to yourself. When you're afraid of what other people will think. When you're afraid of judgment from the outside world. You feel trapped. You feel helpless. You're paralyzed by inaction. You're paralyzed by the fear of what other people think of you. And that inaction will carry you to the fucking grave. You're going to be buried with your regrets. So that's why I say that inauthenticity and being fake and not being real with people and not being real with yourself will kill you. Because I've seen it happen firsthand. So here's my message to you. Be honest with yourself. And every moment that you have in the world, learn to be real, and you'll live your purpose.